Hey up everyone, Magpie Gaming here. I hope you are all doing well. So yesterday we had the reveal of the new Battlefield game 2042, which will be with us later this year. The trailer was amazing. I think they did a really good job with it. It was very well paced. It gave us a good look at the setting of the game and the different types of soldiers that we'll be playing and some of the vehicles and some of the maps, etc. And the musical score on it was really good as well. I enjoyed that. Motley Crue, Kickstart My Heart, definitely a good choice there. But yeah, it didn't give us much in the way of actual details about the game, but there was plenty that came out with it just afterwards. A lot of the big YouTubers put their videos out. They'd had early access to it. I have spent the last 24 hours doing some digging and put my own little video together. So for those of you that are interested in my take on it, I'm going to go through all of the juicy details of what we're going to get with the game, and then I'll give you my opinion at the end of it for those that are interested. So first of all, the game setting is exactly what we thought. It's going to be sort of present day to slightly futuristic. Obviously it's set in 2042, that's 20 years from now, but it gives DICE scope to put in some experimental weapons, some concept weapons and vehicles, things like that. Gives them scope to give us a more sort of not grounded in historical, wars like the previous Battlefields was. So we're getting some very futuristic sort of settings, and basically the world is on its knees. Global warming has taken hold. There are lots of issues with blackouts with satellites. The internet's gone down in parts of the world, and the United States and Russia are on the brink of war with each other, and they are hiring what's called non-no-pats. These are people that have no patriotic sort of allegiance to any country. Both countries are hiring these guys to fight each other and fight over resources, etc. So the game's been in development for 3 years now and is running the latest version of the Frostbite engine with an all-new physics system included. There is going to be no single player with this game, and there will be no battle royale mode. The narrative of the characters in the game, however, will be evolved through the seasons that are going to be included. So as the seasons go on, we'll get some sort of character progression and a background story to what's going on. Seems a little bit weak, but that's the way that DICE want to do it this time. For the PC and the next gen consoles, the maps will support 128 players. For those of you that are on previous generation consoles, unfortunately you're only going to be on 64 player maps. Those consoles simply just cannot handle the 128 player map. There was 3 game modes announced so far. That is Conquest, Breakthrough and Hazard Zone. Hazard Zone is an unknown entity at the moment, but apparently that's going to get a reveal later in July. I think that's July the 22nd if I'm not mistaken, so we will get to find out what that mode is all about then. There are rumours that it could be a sort of Battle Royale-esque sort of mode, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. We was given a lot of close-up looks at some of the weapons. I'm not 100% sure on the makes and models of some of the weapons. Other videos go into a little bit more detail on that, but for now I'm not really going to be drawn on what kind of weapons we're going to be using in the game, but I know that a lot of weapons that are in present day will be used, and then of course with it being set slightly futuristic, we will get some sort of concept weapons on top of that. It was interesting to see from the trailer though that it doesn't look like any of these concept weapons have actually made it into that trailer. It seemed like all of the guns were pretty much grounded in weapons that we already know and love, so we'll have to wait and see if there's going to be sort of any sort of concept weapons thrown in there by DICE. For the weapon loadouts in the game, it will be using what's known as the Plus system. This will be available for guns, and it allows you to swap out the scope, barrel, ammo and underbarrel on the fly during the game, rather than having to stick with the weapon loadout that you've chosen at the start of the round. You're going to be able to change up all of those things during the game. We don't really know how this is going to look at the moment. A lot of YouTubers out there have likened it to the system that you had in Crisis, where you could swap out various parts of the weapon. So it could be something similar to that. So you'll be able to swap them out depending on the situation that you're in. Do you need a long range scope? You'll be able to swap that in. Do you want to go back to a red dot? You'll be able to swap that back in as well. The game this time is going to allow you to play with or against AI soldiers. So DICE has said that this will be useful for people that are practicing or trying to learn the game. They will be able to go into a server and populate it simply with AI soldiers and play against them or with them, and it's one way of breaking new players into the game. You're not going to go onto a server full of pro players. Hopefully you'll be able to choose sort of the level of the AI as well if you're on like a private server. No real information on that yet, but you will be able to play with AI soldiers just sort of ease you in the game. If you're new to the game, you'll be able to play against those and be able to learn at your own pace. and this will be good, as other YouTubers have said, for populating areas where there's maybe not a huge player base. You'll be able to fill the gaps in with AI soldiers. As with the weapons, we had a lot of the usual vehicles shown off as well. Again, makes and models I'm not too sure on. I know that the Apache is in there, the Osprey is in there, and you've got various quads, tanks, helicopters and planes. Like I say, not 100% sure on the makes and models, but you will be able to call vehicles in during the game, and any class within the game will be able to do this. You'll be able to call them in and have them airdropped to a specific location that you choose. Now obviously there will be some sort of limit to how many people can call in certain vehicles at any one time, probably a points based system or something like that, and that will stop people simply spamming hundreds and hundreds of vehicles onto the map at the same time. There are going to be 7 maps available at launch, all of which are the biggest ever made for a Battlefield game. In Conquest, capture points will be split into sectors with 2 flags per sector, so to capture a sector you need to capture both flags, not just one of them, and I think this is being done to spread out the gameplay within the maps and not create these sort of humongous choke points that you can get on some of the map and have like 128 players all going at it at a certain point. Yes, there will be capture points that will be more battled for than others, but this should spread the gameplay out a little bit and, you know, make us use all of the map instead of just certain areas of it. There will be dynamic weather effects that will be present, such as tornadoes, which you will see in the trailer in the background. These can be used to your advantage. Obviously they will kill people, but you will be able to use them. If you've got the wingsuit, for example, you'll be able to use the tornado to move you safely to another part of the map. So that's pretty cool. And as always, the typical destruction physics are back within the Battlefield game as well. Taken up a notch in this one, of course, with the introduction of the new Frostbite engine. So we're going to have a quick look at the maps that we're going to be getting. So the first map is Orbital. This is set in French Guiana. It's a race against time and hostile conditions as you fight around the site of an imminent rocket launch. Watch out for both enemy fire and up and coming storms on this dynamic map. Next is Hourglass, which is based in Doha in Qatar. Fight in a city lost to the desertification around it. Massive dust and sandstorms are constantly rolling in, blotting out the natural light as you battle for control of a convoy trapped in the shifting sands. Next up is Kaleidoscope, which is set in South Korea in a state-of-the-art metropolis. Zipline between skyscrapers and fight among the plazas surrounding the city's iconic data center. Manifest, which is set in Singapore. Watch out for the tropical tornadoes and navigate through maze-like cargo containers in this key trade location vital to American supply lines. Discarded, which is set in India along a strategic section of India's west coast. Colossal ships stranded on the beach are being stripped for parts. Fight amongst the hulls of these behemoths while adapting to the deadly storms. Breakaway, which is set in Antarctica. Tread carefully on this dynamic map where oil extraction has turned the freezing area to a strategic hotspot. Take advantage of destructible fuel tanks and silos that create debris fields and permanent fires when destroyed. And the last map is Renewal, set in Egypt. A giant wall built to secure rich man-made agricultural areas takes centre stage on this intense map. Prepare for the extreme conditions, deploy and secure the access points and massive gates in the wall. So those are the maps that we're going to be getting. They all look amazing from what I've seen. Obviously you get images of them in the trailer and then you get these still images that I've been showing you on screen. Looks like a lot of work's gone into them, definitely. There are going to be the usual 4 classes for the game as well: the Assault, Recon, Engineer and Support. Each of these is going to be split into 10 specialists that you'll be able to choose from. 4 of those have been revealed so far, and I think the rest will be revealed as the game progresses on. Each of these has sort of 2 specialist abilities that you can call upon, but you'll be able to swap out their primary and secondary weapons at will. There are no sort of locks with weapons in this, so it's not like previous games where if you wanted to use a certain weapon you had to pick the Assault class. You will be able to pick the Assault class as specialist and swap out any primary weapon to this class. It's not locked at all. The live services model is going to be used for this game again, and this will split the game into seasons lasting around 3 months, and each season will have a paid for and a free battle pass that you'll be able to play for. The first year of the game is going to be split into 4 seasons, obviously with 4 battle passes, free and paid for. DICE have said that the paid for battle pass will be mainly cosmetics. There will be an open beta for the game that will be available for those that pre-order. I think this is going to be around September time. For those that do pre-order, you will get early access to the game on the 15th of October, and then the full release will be on the 22nd of October. There's going to be 3 versions of the game available. There'll be Standard Edition, Gold Edition and Ultimate Edition, all with varying perks attached to them. And for the PC version, it will launch simultaneously across Origin, Steam and the Epic Game Store. Now the pricing is the same across all 3 of those game stores here in the UK. Standard Edition is $49.99, Gold Edition is $79.99 and the Ultimate Edition is $99.99. And that is pretty much all of the sort of official information on the game. I'm going to give my opinion on some of those points right now. So for there being no single player and no battle royale, DICE have said that because there's no single player because they wanted to focus solely on the multiplayer for this game. That is where their skills lie, in doing a multiplayer game, not telling sort of a single player narrative. So some people will be disappointed with that. They'll have been looking forward to a single player campaign, but I kind of understand where DICE is coming from with just concentrating on the multiplayer. That is what gives the game its longevity. That is what keeps people coming back. A single player campaign doesn't keep people coming back. They play it once and they tend never to play it again. So they really need to focus on the multiplayer. And given that the last couple of Battlefield games haven't been critically acclaimed or hugely well received by the community, yes, they were good games, yes, there was good points in them, but they wasn't ultimately what everybody wanted. So I think DICE has to go all out on the multiplayer with this one and get it right this time. So I'm not too bothered that they're not going to give us a single player. No battle royale mode, that's a kind of surprising one. There have sort of been a lot of leaks saying that battle royale would be with it. It would be free to rival Warzone, but they're saying that it's just not on the agenda. So it could be that this Hazard Zone mode is something akin to battle royale, but we don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see. The 128 player maps, hugely looking forward to them, more the merrier. It's disappointing that previous generation consoles won't get those types of maps. You're only going to be limited to the 64 player maps, but that really is just down to the limitation of those consoles. Those consoles are old now. They can't support, you know, the sort of newer gen titles. It is frustrating for those people that want to go to the next gen platforms though, and obviously with all of the issues with supply and demand at the moment, they're unable to. So hopefully by the time the game comes out, some of that might be fixed and a lot of you guys would be able to upgrade and be able to get onto the next gen of it. But obviously for those on the previous generation, you are going to pay less for your version of the game against those that are on the next gen consoles. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is right now. The plus system that's put in the game where you can swap out parts of your weapon whilst in game, I'm quite excited to use that. I think that'll be a good little inclusion into the game, giving you a little bit more variety. You're not going to be going into a round and thinking, you know, oh, for God's sakes, I wish I hadn't brought this scope with this gun or things like that. You know, you're going to be able to swap it out and tailor it to your needs. It might break the immersion of the game a little bit, but you know, I'm all for that system being put in place and being able to change things out. I think it's a good inclusion. Being able to play against AI soldiers or have them play alongside you as well, I think that's good. It gives people the ability to practice. You're not going to end up on empty servers at certain times of the day. You know, if you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to end up on an empty European server. You'll be able to populate it yourself. So yeah, that's a good inclusion, I think, and it gives people a chance to learn the game. You're not thrown into a server full of pro players, so I like the idea of that. It is going to be dedicated servers again, which is a little bit annoying. There's going to be no private servers, which we all really want, and DICE just will not give us it. But yeah, there we go. Maybe sometime in the future we'll get those private servers back that we all want. The 7 maps that have been included look really good. 7 maps is a good amount to start with. Obviously that will be expanded on as the seasons go along. It could be that some maps get taken out of rotation and other maps get put back in, and then they swap them back out at will. You know, something like what Call of Duty does with their maps. Certain maps will disappear one season and then come back. So it could be that they do the same with that, or they keep the 7 maps in and simply add more and more. That's what I'm hoping that they'll do, but we'll have to wait and see. The dynamic weather effects, I think they're pretty cool, but they could get old fast. I don't know. It's something that I think they really don't need to overuse. Just take it slow with those, don't put too much emphasis on them. But we'll see how that works out once we do get sort of more information about the game and we get to play it as well. We'll get to see, you know, how often these dynamic weather effects actually happen. The specialists and the class roles, I'm interested to see how that works out. I'm glad that primary weapons aren't locked to certain classes. That's a good move. You're going to be able to pick the class that you're most comfortable with and have your most comfortable weapons as well. Again, is that going to break some of the immersion immersion? Are you going to end up with a lot of players all playing the same weapons? This was something that Level Cap Gaming touched on in his roundup of all the information about Battlefield. Are we just going to have loads of people running around basically running the most powerfulest weapons and not really have much variety? That could be the case, but we'll have to wait and see. That also means that DICE really need to nail the balancing of weapons when they release them, because everybody's just going to jump on one particular weapon if it ends up being really OP, but we'll have to wait and see. The live services model, I'm happy with that coming back. They have to do better than what they did with Battlefield 5 obviously, but splitting it into the seasons and bringing new content with the seasons as well and new specialists means that there's going to be sort of roadmap that they're going to have to pretty much stick to, so that's good. It isn't the same as the previous live service where they didn't really have to rush content out. They could push it out when they saw fit. This time they've got a roadmap to stick to, and hopefully they will do. The open beta, I'm looking forward to that. I will pre-order. I know a lot of people don't like people pre-ordering, but I'll do whatever the hell I want with my own money. Thank you very much. If you don't want to pre-order, then don't pre-order. That's fine. I've seen a lot of arguments for and against pre-ordering. If you don't want to, then don't. But don't try and push your opinion on other people. It's really annoying when somebody tries to tell you how to spend your money. Yes, maybe you've had your fingers burnt by pre-ordering and the game wasn't up to par when it released. I don't really think that will be the case with this Battlefield. Like I said, DICE have to get it right. Yes, will it be 100% working when it comes out? No, there'll be a few features that might be broken, might need patching very quickly, but I think on the whole we will get a very decent game at launch. So we do have a gameplay reveal for this game on the 13th, which is Sunday, so we'll get to see some gameplay footage, and obviously I'll do another video breaking down what we get to see in that as well. And that's pretty much it for this video, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's been a long one. If you've made it all the way to the end, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate your time. If you are interested in more Battlefield content, then please do subscribe. I will be doing a lot more in the coming months following this game very closely. So all that remains to be seen is thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Stay safe, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.